Breland News.
As I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about this guy. He might become our patron saint, by the way.
Yep.
You know, so this is for those of you who are as old as me, if not older. This is Paul Robeson, so famous actor, musician, singer, activist that you probably have not ever heard of.
Right.
Again, as I said, I knew of him and his acting work, given my family and watching him in certain films. And definitely, if you heard his voice, you definitely might have heard it before. But we don't talk about him anymore. Like, honestly, and he's been someone that I've been kind of intrigued of for a while, in kind of preparing, for this month and kind of thinking about what I want to do, and then his name kind of popped up. So,
Right.
and learning just a little bit more about him, just more on the personal side, and in terms of his political views, I can understand why we don't talk about him that much. So, hence the title of the forgotten revolutionary actor. So, as I said, he identified as a communist, which this will relate to someone who we're going to talk about.
What? I'm sorry. What? Say again. Oh no!
So
Whatever would we do?
He was a communist, and he actually did live in Russia for a bit. So given that, like, the U.S., our government had an issue with him. So that should tell you something. Like, given his position. So, but we are going to look at a tape. And there's a lot on him, honestly. But we're just going to give you a taste tonight as to the man behind the voice. And hopefully this might lead you into learning more about him, as I want to. So this article is from the Communist Party USA, written by Steve Dustcircle. I love that name, Dustcircle.
Dustcircle?
Name.
Dustcircle?
So where he titles Paul Robeson, I Must Keep Fighting Till I'm Dying. So Steve summarizes Paul in this way.
There you go.
Okay. Few can excel at 2 high-profile careers. It's almost unheard of to excel at 4 or 5, so when someone can, you know they are gifted beyond measure. Paul Leroy Robeson was one such person. His immense talent, coupled with his strong support for civil rights, labor, and peace, made him a powerful figure on the left and a target of the right. Robeson was born on April 9th, 1898 in New Jersey to Maria Louisa Bustills, a member of the prominent Quaker family, and Reverend William Drew Robeson, who had escaped from slavery while in his teens. After his mother died when he was 6, his family was often uprooted and subjected into deep poverty.
It probably is Paulie. If it's New Jersey.
So Robeson was, Princeton.
Yeah.
Princeton. So, though Robeson was a star athlete, it was his grades that got him a scholarship into college. As a high school student, he drew attention from the NAACP, which wrote a short article in a crisis about his accomplishments. Robeson attended 4 universities and earned a law degree. I believe at Columbia. I think he went to Rutgers for undergrad and then Columbia for law. Throughout his academic career, he sang and acted in musicals, was part of several clubs such as Theater and Debate, and still had time to play professional football for 2 NFL leagues. He flourished in everything he put his hand and mind to, especially with his sweetheart wife / talent agent, Elsanda Essie, at his side. However, this was not without its share of prejudice and racism. Robeson practiced law for a short while, but left due to the rampant racism in the field. Though he played football, it was touring while singing and acting that he loved. Beginning in the 1930s, Robeson refused to be disrespected and insisting he set an example for how Black men should act and be treated. He wrote an essay called I Want to Be African, and set out to learn his roots and apply them to his and his people's future. He befriended British socialists and anti-capitalists. He visited the Soviet Union where he felt at home and for the first time felt like a full human being. Um, can you zoom in, please?
Yep,
This is a little
I
small.
can.
Thank you. In 1935, he took a role in the film Sanders on the River, thinking it would be good for the world to see how Africans looked and behaved. Though it gained him worldwide fame, the stereotypical portrayal damaged his reputation. When a commissioner of British colonial Nigeria protested the film, Robeson became more conscious of the roles he took. In 1928, Robeson performed the role of Joe in the British production of the musical Showboat and later in the 1936 film version. He became known for the signature song Old Man River and sang it often at concerts. Over the years, he omitted the racist words and changed the lyrics from I'm tired of living and scared of dying to the militant, I must keep fighting till I'm dying. Exposure to the Spanish Civil War was a turning point for his anti-fascist views. He supported the communist and anti-anarchist causes, assisted the loyalist Bando Republicano, and aided
Republicano.
war refugees. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
In London in 1937, he gave a famous anti-fascist speech where he said, "The artist must take sides. He must elect to fight for freedom or slavery." Robeson went to Spain to sing to soldiers in support of the short-lived International Brigade. He met the Chinese progressive activist Lu
Liangmo.
Lianmo, who taught Robeson the patriotic song Arise, which Robeson would perform live and record in studio. Robeson often challenged segregationist policies. In 1940, he performed before a packed audience of 30,000 at the Hollywood Bowl. Yet only one hotel in Los Angeles would take his money, and with the caveat that he registered under an assumed name. He did so, and then sat daily in the hotel's lobby where he was easily recognized. Soon after, restrictions for Black guests lifted in Los Angeles hotels. His political voice was unwelcome in many in the 1940s. The FBI labeled a documentary he narrated, South Africa Uncensored, as communist propaganda. He stopped acting in film due to casting limitations and the portrayal of Black people. He tried and failed to convince the baseball commissioner to allow Black men to play ball with white men. After the lynching of 4 Georgian Black men by a white mob in 1946, Robeson and 6 others met with President Truman, imploring him to make lynching illegal. Truman ended the meeting abruptly when Robeson began reading his forceful statement. Robeson called for Americans to fight for civil rights and created the American Crusade Against Lynching. But the NAACP viewed this group as disruptive to their tactic of using the court system to press their case for equality. So,
Yeah, we've been talking about them for a while, have we not?
yeah,
Like,
so not surprising though. Like, given how like complicit they are in
yeah,
terms of white supremacy and how they really don't fight for Black people at all. Like, it's just the image of it. So just even back then, it was very much
especially back then, you know?
right.
Like,
So, um,
I find it funny they were upset that they used the court system. I thought it was very famous by any means necessary, no? Like,
well, that came later, but even
yeah,
then, um,
like crazy.
yeah.
Ugh, we
In,
both hit the button.
in
There
1956,
you go.
oh, sorry. He spoke out against imperialism and colonialism, resulting in the mainstream press demonetizing him in 1949. Even the NAACP magazine that praised him when he was in high school refused to write anything about him. The House Un-American Activities Committee questioned the Black pro baseball player Jackie Robinson about a speech Robeson made in France. He testified that Robeson's claims were silly. A major book about college football failed to list Robeson as a ruckus player. A critique was written about him in Crisis, and J. Edgar Hoover had sent it all over Africa. Robeson's influence was being constricted, as the government feared, and caused fear of his message. In 1949, Robeson performed in Peekskill, New York. After the concert, an anti-communist mob rioted, beating concertgoers and vandalizing their cars. The FBI pressured concert organizers, including black churches, to stop booking performances. The State Department revoked his passport in 1950, putting an end to his international concerts for 8 years. This didn't mean he didn't get love. Due to his passport situation, labor unions organized annual concerts where Robeson performed on the border between Washington State and British Columbia. In 1952, he was awarded the International Stalin Prize. Stalin. In 1956, Robeson was dragged before the House Un-American Activities Committee. He refused to answer any questions regarding his political affiliation and accused the HUAC of fascism. He said that America is what it is because enslaved people like his father built it. When asked whether he was a member of the Communist Party, he replied, "Do you mean a party of people who have sacrificed for my people and for all Americans and workers that they can live in dignity? Do you mean that party?" So while there is not much, I feel like, audio or visuals, like interviews of him, there are a few, but not that many.
Right.
I was able to. Well, there isn't. So what I want to play for you now is a reenactment of when Paul was, was in Congress regarding his passport.
Okay.
Within the situation. So it's actually reenacted, funny enough, by James Earl Jones, another iconic voice.
Yep.
Rest in peace. So yeah, just to clarify, this is not James speaking. This is James Earl Jones, but this is a reenactment of what he said during Congress during his testimony regarding his actions as a communist. So we'll play this and then we'll continue with the segment.
Now, Mr. Robeson,
do I have the privilege of asking who is addressing me?
I'm Richard Ahrens.
What is your position?
I'm director of the staff. Did you file a passport application in July 2, 1954?
I filed about 25 in the last few months.
In July of 1954, were you requested to submit a non-communist affidavit?
Under no conditions would I think of signing such an affidavit. It is a contradiction of the rights of American citizens.
Are you now a member of the Communist Party?
Oh, please.
Please answer, will you, Mr. Robeson?
What is the Communist Party? What do you mean by that?
Are you now a member of the Communist Party?
Would you like to come to the ballot box when I vote and take out the ballot and see?
Mr. Chairman, I respectfully suggest the witness be directed to answer the question.
You are directed to answer the question.
I invoke the Fifth Amendment and forget it.
I respectfully suggest the witness be directed to answer the question whether, if he gave us a truthful answer, he would be supplying information which might be used against him in a criminal proceeding.
You are directed to answer, Mr. Robeson.
In the first place, wherever I have been in the world, the first to die in the struggle against fascism were the communists. I laid many wreaths upon the graves of communists. That is not criminal. Chief Justice Warren has been very clear that the Fifth Amendment does not have anything to do with the influence of criminality, and I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Have you ever been known under the name of John Thomas?
Oh, please, does somebody here want me to put up a perjury someplace? John Thomas, my name is Paul Robeson, and anything I have to say, I have said in public all over the world, and that is why I'm here today.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that you direct the witness to answer the question. He's making a speech.
I ask you to affirm or deny the fact that your Communist Party name was John Thomas.
I invoke the Fifth Amendment. This is really ridiculous.
The witness talks very loud when he makes a speech, but when he invokes the Fifth Amendment, I can't hear him.
I have medals
That's the
for
point.
diction. I can talk plenty loud.
Will you talk a little louder?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment loudly.
Sir, who are Mr. and Mrs. Vladimir
I
Nikiev?
invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Do you know a Manning Johnson?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Do you know Gregory Kifitz?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Do you know a Max Jurgen?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Max Jurgen.
Why don't you
took an
have
oath.
these people here to be cross-examined? Could I ask whether this is legal?
This is not only legal, but usual. By unanimous vote, this committee has been instructed to perform this very distasteful task.
To whom am I talking?
You're speaking to the chairman of the committee.
Mr. Walter?
Yes,
The Pennsylvania Walter?
that is right.
Representative of the steel workers?
That is right.
And the coal mining workers?
That is right.
Not United States Steel by any chance. A great patriot.
That is right.
You are the author of the bills that are going to keep all kinds of decent people out of the country.
No, only your kind.
Colored people like myself. And you would let in the Teutonic Anglo-Saxon stock.
We are trying to make it easier to get rid of your kind, too.
You don't want any colored people to come in. Could I be allowed to read from my statement?
Will you just tell this committee, please, while under oath, Mr. Robeson, the communists who participated in the preparation of that statement?
Oh, please. The reason I'm here today, from the mouth of the State Department itself, is I should not be allowed to travel because I have struggled for the independence of the colonial peoples of Africa. The other reason I'm here today, again, from the State Department and from the record of the Court of Appeals, is that when I am abroad, I speak out against injustices against the Negro people in this land. That is why I'm here. I'm not being tried for whether I'm a communist. I'm being tried for fighting for the rights of my people, who are still second-class citizens in this country, in this United States of America. My mother was born in your state, and my mother was a Quaker. My ancestors, in the time of Washington, baked bread for George Washington's troops when they crossed the Delaware. My father was a slave. I stand here struggling for the rights of my people to be full citizens in this country. And they are not. They are not in Mississippi. They are not in Montgomery, Alabama. They are not in Washington. They are nowhere. And that is why I'm here today. You want to shut up every Negro who has the courage to stand up and fight for the rights of his people, for the rights of workers. And I have been on many a picket line for the steel workers, too. And that is why I'm here today.
Would you tell us whether or not you know Thomas W. Young?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Thomas W. Young is a Negro president of the Guide Publishing Company. I'd like to read you his testimony, quote, Paul Robeson has no moral right to place in jeopardy the welfare of the American Negro to advance a foreign cause. In the eyes of the Negro people, this false prophet is unfaithful to their country, and they repudiate him, close quote. Do you know the man that said that?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment. Now, can I read my statement? It is a sad and bitter comment.
While you were in Paris in 1949, Mr. Robeson, did you tell an audience the American Negro would never go to war against the Soviet government?
May I say that is slightly out of context? May I explain to you what I did say? I remember the speech very well. 2,000 students who came from populations that would range to 600 or 700 million people asked me to say in their name that they did not want war. No part of my speech in Paris says 15 million American Negroes would do anything. I said it was my feeling that the American people would struggle for peace, and that has been since underscored by the President of these United States. Now, in passing, I said...
Do you know any people who want war?
Listen to me. I said it was unthinkable.
Yeah, he's talking to
me
one, sounds
that
like.
any people could take up arms in the name of a man like Senator Eastland of Mississippi against anybody. Gentlemen, I still say that. This United States government should go to Mississippi and protect my people. That is what it should do.
I lay before you, sir, an article, quote, I am looking for full freedom, unquote, by Paul Robeson in The Worker. July 3rd, 1949, quote, I said it was unthinkable that the Negro people of America or elsewhere could be drawn into war with the Soviet Union. I repeat it with 100-fold emphasis, they will not, close quote.
And, gentlemen, they have not. It is clear that no Americans are going to go to war with the Soviet Union.
While you were in Stockholm, did you make a little speech?
I made all kinds of speeches.
Let me read you a quotation.
Let me listen.
Do so, please.
I am a lawyer.
It would be a revelation if you would listen to counsel.
In good company, I usually listen. But you know, people wander around in such fancy places.
You said, Mr. Robeson, and I quote, I belong to the American resistance movement, which fights against American imperialism, just as the resistance movement fought against Hitler.
Just like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman were underground railroaders and fighting for our freedom, you bet your life.
I have to insist that you listen to these questions.
I am listening.
I quote further, why should the Negroes ever fight against the only nation in the world where racial discrimination is prohibited and where the people can live freely? Never. They
Why
will never
should they?
fight against either the Soviet Union or the people's democracies, close quote. Did you make that statement?
I do not remember, but what is perfectly clear today is that 900 million people, other colored people, have told you they will not. 400 million in India.
Yeah, so Colliers just commented, that's James Earl Jones. He's reenacting Paul Robeson here. So that's why
This is indeed a disturbing universe.
That guy.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yes. So,
Yes.
it's Paul Robeson's words reenacted by James Earl Jones at his congressional hearing regarding his passport. So, but I saw in the chat this at Hilly Billy Banjo, this is integrity energy. And I highly agree. And we talked with G.J. O'Donnell a few weeks ago about unapologetic black men.
Yep.
Add him to the list. Once you are that secure in who you are and your history and where you know or your potential, like you're able to go into the halls of Congress when people are trying to discredit you, and essentially he was blacklisted in Hollywood, but being able to stand chest out, toes down in terms of what you believe, politically or not, and just be unapologetically real in terms of who you are and what you stand for. And yeah, he definitely did that here. Now, we're going to talk about that in the context of another musician later on in the show. But I think this was a good example of, and I think it helped that he went into law. So he kind of knew how to
maneuver in the system,
handle himself or use the system or knowing the system to his advantage to kind of, I wouldn't say distract, but like he knew how to pivot in an appropriate way to kind of get his point across. But what were you saying, Reef? I know you were saying a couple of things while you.
It just sounded like it was, the guy asked him like, "Have you met anyone that wasn't anti-war or whatever?" And it's like, yeah, it sounded like you're talking to him.
Yeah. Right.
Like, yeah, I've met you.
But that's the thing about Paul that I think, in learning more about him, that's what he did that I think makes him very distinct to me. Like he went on like the things that we kind of comment that our current celebrities don't do, like he was doing. He went on picket lines. He talked to labor unions. He met with the regular folk all over the world. And actually I really wanted to do it. Like as I was preparing last night, because he sang for Welsh miners during one of his visits to UK, and they basically said to him, "You are one of us. Your struggle is our struggle." And I don't think we can have any celebrity today that people are able to make that statement to.
Yeah.
Well, maybe in terms of like the idolatry of it all.
Yeah.
But I think with Robeson, it was his authenticity. I think especially given his background and being very aware of it, but able to again, as our friend DJ Joe Nice often says, internationalize the struggle. Like, he traveled the world and he met different people, and he was able to kind of compare his like issues with, in terms of class, and I think that's a key, with others who were in similar situations. So I would argue that Paul was truly a global citizen of the best kind in terms of how he related to like the working class and how he tried to use his celebrity, especially in his politics, to uplift and stand for workers, but I think especially for Black people in terms of the situation that was happening in the country at the time.
Right.
Anyway, try and finish this up. All of his speeches, recordings, and films were banned from public distribution. However, he continued to sing, even over telephone lines to overseas audiences that paid to hear him. In 1958, after the Supreme Court, so again, in response to the reenactment you just heard, ruled that it was unconstitutional to deny a passport based on one's political views, the State Department was forced to return Robeson's passport. He immediately embarked on a world tour, but returned to the United States in 1963 because of declining health. His wife died in 1965, and Paul Robeson died 11 years later. His life was a series of firsts. He stuck to his conviction and always supported the working class. He used his platform and abilities to push forward a progressive, humanist vision where all are equal and free from discrimination. So, actually, let me just check. So yeah, we do have an interview that he did. So this will be him speaking. So it's a long-ish interview. It's about 30 minutes long. So those of you who are interested, I'll put the link in the chat once I pull it up. If you want to hear it, the whole thing. But I wanted to highlight, a section of this where he talks about his political views as to what brought him to where he stood politically. So let's play that, and we'll end the segment.
Yes. Well, tell me, Mr. Robeson, was your commitment to the political scene then largely as a result of your feeling about your own people, or our own people, let's put it, or did it have other overtones of political conviction?
First it starts as an American Negro interested in my own people. The other great change is very constant in my mind. I was in the Welsh Valley, and the Welsh people sing very much like we do in the Negro people.
Yes, I've heard
many of our songs, beautiful songs. And I was one of the few outsiders who has sung at a Welsh Eisteddfod, their national festival, which has gone on since the time of the Druids. And I went down in the mines with the workers, and they explained to me that, Paul, you may be successful here in England, but your people suffer like ours. We are poor people, and you belong to us. You don't belong to the bigwigs here in this country. And so I today feel as much at home in the Welsh Valley as I would in my own Negro section, any city in the United States. And I just did a broadcast by transatlantic cable to the Welsh Valley a few weeks ago. And here was the first understanding that the struggle of the Negro people, or of any people, cannot be by itself. That it is a human struggle. And so I was attracted then to met many members of the Labour Party, and my politics embraced also the common struggle of all oppressed peoples, including especially the working masses, specifically the laboring people of all the world. And that defines my philosophy. It's a joining one of, we are a working people, a laboring people, the Negro people. And there is a unity between our struggle and those of white workers. In the South, I've had white workers shake my hand and say, Paul, we're fighting for the same thing. And so this defines my attitude toward socialism and toward many other things in the world. I do not believe that a few people should control the wealth of any land, that it should be a collective ownership in the interest of all.
Sounds about right to me.
I mean, if a politician said that today and meant it...
Yes. Well, tell me, Mr. Robeson.
Sorry.
Oh, like, how clear, simple, and eloquent that was. He said what I think on the left have been trying to say in 2 minutes. It's about humanizing the human experience in terms of the oppression that the working class go
I
through,
can never forget.
regardless of where you live. So, I mean, you know,
Yep.
and again, this is a man of his position. Again, he could have, back then, he could have like just accepted his role in Hollywood
Shut up.
or
Got his
law
mind
or
right.
whatever. And
Yeah.
right, and he literally understood the assignment. And I think because he traveled, and I think that's definitely one of the benefits of traveling, which is what that's one of the things that I'm very grateful for my parents encouraging me, is to see the world, go beyond what you know in terms of where you live, and being able to meet people in different places and cultures and realize there's a lot that we all experience that is very similar, especially in terms of oppression, that connect us. And so, but again, it's the idea of the working class accepting him, knowing his situation. Again, this is a guy whose father just recently came out of slavery,
Right.
and having to deal with the segregation in the country at the time. But basically the working class, regardless, white, black, basically being like, you belong to us, not to Hollywood, not to the capitalists. That I think is the best honor that I think anyone of his position could ever get, which I could tell, given his position, I think really meant a lot to him. So he really understood what he had to do, in spite of the way that our government tried to blacklist him, tried to essentially destroy him. But but he kept going, and I think that's something that's very remarkable. Like, as you said, he could have easily just sold out, or just kind of kept his head low and just taken the roles or whatever else and be done with it and be okay. But he didn't do that. And so, but again, that's why I think he's not talked about,
Right.
because he tried to connect people in a very genuine and authentic way. And as we say, like, if our government is scared of you, you're probably doing something right.
Yep.
So, man, so yeah, I mean, it sucks. Again, he lived in my state, like, and the fact that we don't talk about, like, it makes sense that we don't talk about Malcolm X,
Yeah.
generally in school, but it's a damn shame that we don't talk about this man in the same way. Like, and I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to do, like, kind of this hidden history series, is because, like, there's so many Black people, especially in this country, that have done a lot, and especially who were well aware, and many of them were truly on the left, that we could emulate, but we don't know about, and we don't talk about in a way of how they try to uplift the human condition. And so it's very sad that, unfortunately, we're not giving this man his due. So I kind of wanted to do my part to give this man his flowers in recognizing him beyond the acting and the singing that I think most of us would know him for, if we do know him at all, but just his political views that really try to humanize the human condition, in terms of class, which even now we don't talk about. So I wanted to end, because I really wanted to end him singing,
Right.
but due to copyright, we can't do that. But I wanted to end the segment with this, which I think works just as well. So let's hear his last words to us.
I can never forget that it was the people of Manchester and of the other industrial areas of Britain who gave me the understanding of the oneness of people, a concept upon which I have based my career as an artist and citizen. I recall how a Manchester friend explained to me how closely together we two were bound by the web of history and human suffering and aspiration. He told me of the life of bitter hardship and toil, which his father and grandfather knew in the mills, those dark satanic mills which Blake cried out against in words of fire, and of how the cotton which his forefathers wove linked them with other toilers whose sweat and blood produced that cotton in faraway America, the Negro slaves of my own father, my own people.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
I mean, in my mind, he probably was among the first that recognized the class struggle and spoke to all of it, not just like obviously that enhanced, his work with Black people, I would argue in particular, but like, he wanted to connect everybody in terms of that struggle, which again makes him very dangerous. So obviously it makes sense why essentially his history is erased or not as well known. So other than maybe his work in Hollywood, but I felt it was important to kind of highlight this aspect of him that, is not often talked about. So, but again, as I said, this is just the surface of what he did. So like, I really am curious to see what else he said. He does
Right.
have an autobiography. I forgot the title of it right now. But if you want to read more about him, it's out there. So for those of you who are interested in learning more about him, but I think, definitely a man that we should be emulating to in terms of being unapologetically authentic in terms of his advocacy for the working
Right.
class worldwide.
Yep.
So,
And just have a cool voice. Everyone should have a cool voice,
God. Oh God.
Like,
Well, that's the part. That's the charm. It's like
yeah.
he had that very smooth, like very listenable baritone
Yeah.
voice. So,
Yep.
but so that definitely was a plus for him. Also because he was a football player. I forgot how tall he was, but he's tall. So,
Yeah.
so he
And it was
stood out,
football
but
back with like the leather helmets, Like
Right.
it was different
Right.
different football era. Like hard men back then,
right.
But
So, but
crazy.
yeah, as I said, we might have another patron saint on the show. But as I said, we take pleasure in talking about stories like these. But YouTube, well, the good thing is they monetize this again, but YouTube is not well versed in helping us, support our work. So obviously, if you're on YouTube, you can donate there. If you want to ensure that all of your money goes to supporting us in the network, you can go to our Ko-fi link by scanning the QR code or type in the Ko-fi link you see at the bottom of your screen. If in your YouTube chat and you want to give that way, you can type in !donate all one word and the Ko-fi link will pop up. We also have links on Cash App, PayPal, Substack, and Patreon if you want to give there as well. And as always, we appreciate you guys for watching. Take care.